St. Mark's UMC to your Tuesday morning devotional. My name is David Woodford, and I'm the Communications and Youth Director here. And I do devotionals on Tuesdays. And if you're joining us for the first time, we're going through the book of Job, and we are on chapter 3. We're going to zoom through the next couple of chapters. If you're familiar with Job, then you'll probably know that the next couple of chapters there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of substance. But this is a light devotional, so we're gonna go through the main points pretty quickly here. So there's something that I wanna touch on real quick as we read through this. So we're gonna start really at the end of chapter 2, and then we're gonna take a look at chapter 3. So at the end of chapter 2, it says, Job's 3 friends heard about all this adversity that had happened to him. Each of them came from his home. They met together and went to sympathize and comfort him. When they looked from a distance, they could barely recognize him. They wept aloud, and each man tore his robe and threw dust into the air and over his head. And this is a very traditional method of mourning, if you aren't familiar with it. Tearing of clothes, throwing dust, ashes on your head. This was an outward symbol of mourning in ancient times and in ancient Israel. So they wept aloud, each man tore his robe. They sat on the ground with him for 7 days and nights. But no one spoke a word to him because they saw that his suffering was very intense. Can you imagine that? A whole week of mourning. And they didn't say anything. They were just there with him. I think that this, first off, is extremely important for all of us. When someone's mourning, when someone's going through a hard time, and Job is certainly going through a hard time, first, we're there for them. Before we talk, before we do anything, we are in their presence. And that's important. These are the steps of the grieving process. Not the steps that you would commonly associate with like anger and denial and such. But these are the steps that we go through when we're comforting someone else. First, we appear to be with them. And then next, we listen. And this is what they do. After this is the beginning of chapter 3, Job began to speak and cursed the day he was born. Now, I'm not going to read through all of chapter 3, but chapter 3 is an intense moment of mourning for Job. And if you are interested in learning this story, honestly, read up to this point. Follow along, and we can start to dig out the little nuggets that are in Job, because this is so full of great stuff. But chapter 3 begins with Job's mourning, and his friends are there listening to him. He curses the day he was born. He talks about how he wished he had never lived up until this point. He is going through the worst kind of pain that you can experience, and his friends are there to listen. Now, as we go through this book, his friends are gonna say things like, maybe you angered God, and this isn't maybe something we should do all the time when someone's in mourning. They're not gonna be the best examples all the way through this book. Sometimes they're gonna be great, but they're human, just like us. And they're gonna make mistakes, and they're gonna mess up sometimes, and that's all okay, but we're gonna try and learn from it. So the first step when someone is mourning is we listen. We're there for them, and then we listen. Thank you for joining me for this quick little devotional. I hope this started your Tuesday morning off right. I know it's helped me a lot, and I'm excited to go through the rest of Job with you as we unpack each chapter week by week. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you have a great week.